So the 2022 Super Bowl is just about here. I want to get into some coverage because this is going to be a very, very interesting game. I hear talk, Mahomes, he's got to win this one to keep the dynasty talk alive. Philly, they broke the schneid. They got off the schneid and broke the curse a couple of years ago against the Patriots. And now they look to get their second. Hurts, who people were looking down on, got his team in the Super Bowl. This is a real interesting game. So I want to get into the matchups and who is going to win. While there is clear parity on both these teams, you look at the offense, I've talked about that. Points scored's the same, records the same. These two offenses are potent offenses. But to me, this game's going to come down to the defenses versus the offensive lines of either team, with one caveat: injuries. Hurts is injured. Mahomes is injured. Hurts had a more serious injury, but the more recent injury is on Mahomes. One injury could alter the course of this game. But if both these quarterbacks stay healthy, and Mahomes is not going to be 100%, but I think he's going to be around 80 with the movement skills. Even with that, it's still going to come down to how well these offensive lines protect and how well these defenses can get after the quarterback. So, before I get into that, I want to give you guys a shout out for stopping by on the eve of the Super Bowl. I want to give a shout out to Ace Bread, my sponsor, because without you, without them, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, both these offenses are dangerous, okay? But the defense, like I said, is what I want to focus on. You'll take a look at this graphic here, and you'll see KC and Philadelphia. Completion percentage is allowed, 22nd by KC, which is a little high. 12th by Philadelphia. Hurries, excellent amount of pressure by KC at 8th. Philadelphia, 14th. Points allowed, 11th by KC, a very amazing. 2nd by Philly. Passes defense, both teams able to mitigate the pass by deflections at 85 apiece. Tackles for loss, KC, 6th. 1st for Philadelphia. Pass yards, KC 19th, which is a little high, and 1st for Philadelphia. Rush yards, an excellent 8th for KC, which is going to help them against Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is 17th. Pressures created, 5th for KC, 2nd for Philadelphia. Sacks, 2nd for KC at 55, and a very distant 1st, Philadelphia at 70. Blitz percentage, both are middle of the road. They don't really like the blitz. 19th for KC, 15th for Philadelphia. But here's a big telling stat that has me concerned for for KC's chances, and that's yak yards allowed. 19th for Philadelphia and 32nd for Kansas City. To me, you could see this pass defense, it has some good players on it. We'll take a look at the matchups in a second. But they're relying a lot on that pressure to help that secondary out. And the yak yards allowed is tremendous. And when you got guys like Brown that you're going against, big old guy, and these corners are going to have some hard times, and it could take that one broken tackle, the one missed tackle to create a big play. And I'm going to keep my eyes focused on that. This pass defense by KC is a little smoke and mirrors because it's hiding some of its defects and flaws behind a very potent offense and that pass rush. Well, let's see how it plays out in the matchups. Here we go. Let's take a look at the matchups. So I got over here, you'll see KC's offense against Philadelphia's defense. I got a mirror look over here because the Eagles like to run a little bit of a 3-4 look, and then they also have their base in big nickels and things like that. So to the left will be the nickel, big nickel, and to the right will be their base look in a 3-4. So on the left, we'll deal with that first. That's the nickel. You'll see Epps, he's got problems in coverage. Good run defender. I get the red circle around him because he's not really good in coverage, but green because he's the run defender. He's more like the strong safety type. Then on the other side, you have Johnson, Gardner Johnson. He's an over-the-top guy. He does pretty good in over-the-top coverage. But you can see clearly there's a little bit of issues over the top with this Eagles secondary and coverage. They can allow that big play, but their pressure, again, a little smoke and mirrors, it hides it by all the pressures as well as an unbelievable trio of cover corners. You got Bradbury, Maddox, and Slay. And they're not purple. I put purple as like the kingly color, being meaning elite. But when you look at the matchups of who they're facing, it really, the distance between what they've done in this season and what the KC receivers has done, it makes this an elite trio against this KC wide receiver core. Now, you come inside and you got an unbelievable linebacker, Edwards, who might be able to put a little coverage on Kelsey. He's just really good at everything. He's elite. This guy is an elite player. And then you got White next to him. He's not so good in coverage. He's okay at kind of everything. So it's going to be interesting. Are they going to bring another safety up there? I don't really know the look so much. But really what this Eagles defense is about is getting after the quarterback and pressure. Now, Sweet, Hargrave, Reddick, unbelievable in the pass rush. All of them really get the purple square around them because they're playing at an elite level. And I put the purple stars there because when you look at that front along with those trio of cover corners, it's going to be very, very difficult for KC to get pass completions unless Mahomes can do his thing, scramble around and buy time. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But there's a further complication. Up at the top, you'll see Brandon Graham's not even on this matchup list in the main grouping, and neither is Robert Quinn. Both these guys are pass rush maniacs. This pass rushing group is going to have man after man. They're going to be rested, and they're going to be coming after this KC offense. Now, KC, if they had Niang in there, would have a formidable front to handle this pass pressure. But you got Brown, Orlando Brown. He's a big guy, but he struggles a little bit in pass protection. You got Thuney, he's unbelievable. Humphreys is the best center in the league, and that's an amazing. Smith, the interior look. So the good news is they're not going to get that quick interior pressure, which is the most detrimental, especially if Mahomes is grounded or semi-grounded because of that ankle. But Wiley on the right, who's been replacing Niang all season, he's not that good. And a lot of teams can't take advantage of it because Mahomes is running around so much. But depending on how he can run or not run, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Wiley because they can put really good pressure on the left and have to force Brown to really play his best game and then maybe even bring help to him. And that could leave Wiley on his own, which is not a good deal. Now, Kelsey, he's a superstar, probably the best tight end in the league. The chemistry between him and Mahomes is unbelievable. But I talk about this all the time. It's not just the blockers. It's the ancillary blockers. You know, if you can't protect your quarterback, you don't have a football team. Kelsey's okay at blocking, but you want him in routes. But the problem here is you got Wiley, who's got issues with blocking, and you have no ancillary blockers, really good quality blockers. The tight ends for KC aren't so good at blocking. The running backs aren't so good. They're actually terrible at blocking. And so this is going to put a lot of pressure on Andy Reid calling short pass plays, making sure he's balanced, but always protecting And then when you bring that protection, you're pulling guys out of routes. And when you put that extra protection in there and they're not that good against this kind of pass pressure, it can be very dangerous. You got Watson, Schuster, and Scantling. And that's not a great receiving group. They're bolstered. Schuster's good. He's been good. But they've all been bolstered by the amazing Mahomes. He gets the purple circle because the guy is a superstar. I really like the 4 from Brown over to Smith, and I gave them a blue star because they're so talented. I should have put a purple star around next to Mahomes. The guy is unbelievable. And you got Pacheco, who I really, really like. But he's a young running back who was picked up late, and pass protection's not his game. And if he can't pass protect, it's going to limit his opportunities. And while I love him, the weakness of this running back group is pass protection, and it's going to be attacked. So I really like KC's offense. I think if Mahomes is 100%, and he might be, I would like this matchup a little bit better. But clearly, to me, the Eagles have a huge edge. And this could make this game not a close game. This could really not be a pretty game for KC unless Mahomes is 100%. Now, on the right side, you can see over here, it's a little bit of a different look. They can bring in Cox, and they got Joseph inside. And I don't know how much they're going to run that. I think you're going to see a lot of nickel looks. I think you're going to see a lot of trying to control the edge, trying to get the pass pressure, and trying to cover the pass. And KC is going to want to run that football. But when you start getting into that, bringing guys in and not putting guys out in routes, the matchup does not favor KC because Philadelphia is so talented that you might be able to bring guys in to protect, but they're not going to be able to protect good enough. And when you have guys covered by these excellent receivers, only like 3 guys going in routes, it could be very difficult. If they can get the run game going, and, Cox and Joseph, they're okay. Cox is still amazing, and I think he's going to bring his A game, and he'll look a lot better than his stats through a season. But they're going to have to try to find some ways to run. Now, the problem for Philadelphia is Sweet and Reddick. They are excellent at pass rush, but they do not cover well. And this is the one gap, the one area where if Mahomes can get out of that pressure and find those soft spots behind poor coverage of these outer edge linebackers, maybe not pass rushing, dropping as they mix and match their blitzes, you could find something. A few big plays can turn things around. But on the face of it, Philadelphia has a strong edge. Now, when you go to the other side of the ball and you look at Philadelphia, you can see again, they have the best offensive line in football. There's no two ways about it. And the pressure that KC uses to offset the poor coverage or the young guys growing into it probably is not going to get there. I mean, Philly was able to handle San Francisco pretty good and control Bosa and keep him off Hurts. And this pass rush by KC is not as good. I love this front of Philadelphia, and I think it's the key unit. Now, I talked about Smith and Brown being able to expose the yak. Goddard is unbelievable. They've got a good group of tight ends there. Not great at run blocking, but they're able to really press all levels and areas. And when you look at Watson, the cornerback for KC, and you look at McDuffie and Snead, both Snead and McDuffie are good. Watson, though, in that third role, he's not good, but Philadelphia doesn't really have a great nickel guy. But Goddard, he's a guy who can go out there and kind of press that nickel guy a little bit. If you look at Nandi and Karlatis, they're not too good. Clark isn't too good. Jones is unbelievable. But Kelsey and Dickerson, or Kelsey and Samalo, they're going to be able to handle him. And that is going to create time. It's going to put pressure. Now, I love Thornhill and Reed, Gay Jr. They're a good little box over there to control the middle of the field and the top of the field. And Bolton is an excellent, excellent player. I give him a blue star with yellow, not a full purple, a full blue and red. But this guy's an unbelievable, for like a smaller kind of guy. He's just so smart. He really is able to do everything. So they're going to have that ability. But the play action, the ability for Hurts to get on the move, the ability to have time to throw that football is going to put a lot of pressure. While I like Snead and McDuffie and the middle and the top, there is going to be a lot of running of the football, and that's going to wear down a little bit of a thin Kansas City defense. Now, they've got some stars too. It's funny, I didn't even realize they got Dunlop and Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams is going to play a big-time role because he can still stop the run. He's still a big guy. And Malata is 368, 6'8", 368. And he's a big guy. To have a few extra big guys on this line, and Dunlap, he's old in the tooth, but he still can play, and these guys are going to go all out for the Super Bowl. So there's a little bit of depth, but if Eagles can get time of possession and keep pounding that football, it is going to make it difficult on this Kansas City defense. So when you really look at it, Mahomes' health, his ability to scramble and buy time and keep putting the pressure on for the Eagles to have to kind of play that fast-paced game that might allow Jones to get that sack because he's going to be passing a little bit more. But if he is getting pressure and he's not able to move the way he wants, this Eagles defense is going to have a field day. And the running game is going to be critical. Bolton is unbelievable. If he can slow that run game down, and they can start making Hurts have to run the football. Because Sanders, he's really, really good when he's paired with Hurts. Because the fear of Hurts going opens things inside. But if Hurts has got to run a couple times, it could lead to some heavy hits. And it could tilt the scales. But ultimately, the offensive line by the Philadelphia Eagles and the pass rush against poor ancillary blockers and Wiley at right tackle is the key aside from Mahomes. My money, I don't bet, but if it was my money, Philadelphia is going to take this, and I think by probably like 13 points. I just don't know how KC is going to be able to keep the arms race. They're good. I don't think it's going to be a blowout early. I think this is going to be a close-ish game going into the half, but that second half, the depth, and the ability to run the football, and the ability to have loads of excellent pass rushers, and having 3 top corners is going to be a little too much unless Mahomes has the game. If Mahomes pulls this off, I am going to be blown away, and I'm going to have to put this guy in a special category. This is a tough spot for the kid. I don't think it's about him winning. Really, they're going against a complete team, top to bottom, and it's going to be very, very difficult. Mahomes does this, it's going to be a win of the ages. Anyway, enjoy the Super Bowl. I am. Now the season over, guys. Now we got to wait for the off season. I feel almost naked without football. So enjoy the time. Enjoy time with family and friends. Enjoy an amazing game. It's Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. See you soon. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.